All right. Good morning, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to another episode of Daybreak Live. My name's Krissi. I'm with Positively Osceola, and today we have a very special guest with us, Sara. She is a registered dietitian with Orlando Health, and we are going to be going over all the things that have to do with staying healthy, especially in the middle of a pandemic. Obviously, a lot of people have mentioned the COVID-19 and gaining that, stress eating, going over lots of different things. So Sara is going to be talking to us about, how to kind of stay away from that and some tips and some awesome advice on how to not stress eat and not snack all the time and, just make better choices in general with our health, especially over the holidays. So I'm so excited to bring her in and to introduce her to you. Let's make this video official, shall we? Let's get our little video going and then we'll get going. Here we go. All right. Once again, welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to another episode of Daybreak Live. My name's Krissi with Positively Osceola. And when we do live episodes, it's all about local personalities, local people and businesses, and, people that are really making a difference in our community. And we want to share that with you. So today we have a very special guest. Please let me introduce you to Sara. She is a registered dietitian. She works at ORMC. Is that right, Sara?
Yes, that's right.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much for hopping on and being with us today. Tell us a little bit about you.
Sure. So I'm a clinical dietitian. Like you said, I work at ORMC, which means that I treat the patients that are in the hospital. So that's my main function within the Orlando Health Organization is doing nutrition education and nutrition assessments for our patients.
Nice. Okay. So you obviously have been right in the heat of everyone talking about, oh, I gained weight, or oh, the pandemic has been so hard on me, and that's valid. Stress is hard, right? Like there's so much, and a lot of us deal with our emotions by eating. So what kind of tips or advice do you have for us that can really be beneficial for those of us that do that?
Sure. So during the pandemic, it's no secret it's been a really stressful time for most of us. So we're seeing an increase in stress eating and idle snacking. So as far as dealing with those issues, the first thing I would recommend is trying to identify the feelings that we're using stress eating to cope with. This is the first step in being a little bit more conscious of the decisions that we're making. It also gives us an opportunity to identify the possible triggers of those feelings and avoid them if we can. As far as the actual snacking, I have three main tips that will help us adjust the snacking to make it a little bit healthier for us in the long run. So the first one would be that we want to limit the amount of sodium that we're taking in. That helps promote our cardiovascular health. So a lot of the snacks that we have are available in an unsalted or a low sodium version. You can look for your favorite brand, and most of them have something like that. The second tip that I have is trying to snack on fruits and vegetables if we can. Obviously, that's a little bit easier said than done. For me, the big barrier for that is the convenience factor of it. When I'm stressed out, I want to be able to open a package and eat. So what I'd suggest is trying to do a bit of meal prepping one day a week, wash and cut up your fruits and vegetables so that they're just as accessible as the other snacks in your house. And the last tip I have is looking for whole grain options. Whole grain foods are going to be higher in fiber, so they're going to be better for our digestive health. And similar to the low sodium or the unsalted version of your favorite snack, most brands have a whole grain version of your snacks.
That's interesting. Okay, so I tried to type out the tips that you put. So number one, limit your sodium. So
Yes.
we can always look at the label and choose
Absolutely.
items that have lower sodium, right?
Yeah, absolutely. All the information is right there on the food label. So just being sure that we're checking that, we can see exactly how much sodium, how much fiber is in it. When we're looking for foods that are whole grains and we're trying to decide if this food is actually a whole grain food, we can check the ingredients list at the bottom of the food label. The ingredients are going to be listed in order of prevalence. So the first ingredients are going to be the ones that are most prevalent in the food. So when we're looking for whole grain foods, we're looking for things like whole wheat or whole grain right in those first few ingredients.
Right. Instead of it saying like sugar or salt or.
Yes. Or sometimes you'll see like enriched flour or something like that. That means that there's not quite as much fiber in it.
Okay. Gotcha. So limit your sodium. We want to always snack on fruits and veggies if we can. And meal prepping is obviously a huge help.
Yes, definitely.
And then look for whole grains. Okay, cool. So when we put all of these things together, what are we seeing happening with our emotional eating or our stress eating?
Well, I mean, it's not necessarily preventing the actual act of stress eating, but it's making it healthier for us in the long term. So obviously it'll be different for everybody, how they choose to deal with their stress. But if we can identify the feelings that we're using the stress eating to cope with, we can start to be a little bit more conscious of, hey, I'm feeling sad today, or hey, I'm feeling anxious. Let me do something else rather than go grab a bag of chips or something like that. Like doing some journaling or getting outside, or maybe calling a family member and talking with them, some of those healthier habits.
You know, I feel like a lot of times, maybe personally for me, is that I'm bored. I'm not really hungry. Do you find that is very common for other people too?
Absolutely, absolutely. So being conscious of our environment where we're snacking is also really important. Like, are we sitting in front of the TV and wanting to eat? Are we bored, like you're saying? And again, just trying to really be conscious of our hunger cues. Like, am I just idly snacking? Am I just bored, or am I actually hungry? And then realizing like the feelings that we're having, that we're trying to cope with that, you know, the boredom or the stress or whatever it may be.
It's always a mental battle, isn't it?
Yes, absolutely. Absolutely
Like
it is.
you're
And
telling yourself these stories that might not necessarily be true, and then you're believing them because you're telling them to yourself. So maybe
right.
you can rewrite those narratives in your head.
Absolutely. And with the pandemic, I mean, this is a new era for all of us, a really unprecedented time. So we're trying to figure out how to cope with that the best that we can and try to stay healthy for the long term.
Right. And I feel like a lot of people will say that this is the new normal, you know, like living in a pandemic. This is just the way it is, and we need to get used to it. And so many of us are like, wait, I want to go back to how things used to be.
Yeah, of course, absolutely. It would be nice if we could.
So how are things at ORMC right now? How has the hospital been? And is it insanely busy still? I haven't been around there in a while.
So I can't really speak to that just because, you know, things change every day here at the hospital. We have a wide variety of patients in a lot of different disease states, and it just really varies every day.
Yeah. I've only been to ORMC a couple times, but I remember it being beautiful. And so what an
Yes.
honor that you get to work at such an amazing facility, and you're a registered dietitian, which is so cool. How did you get into it?
So I graduated from the University of Florida, and I took a introduction to nutrition class when I was a freshman there, and that kind of influenced me to go down this path. I knew I always wanted to be in healthcare and in medicine. So once I kind of found that passion, I just kind of ran with it. And it's been a really fun journey so far. And working at ORMC, because we have so many different disease states and wide variety of patients, it's been a great opportunity for me to learn a lot.
Oh gosh, absolutely. And I think what's cool about the field that you're in is you're in a position where you're preventing treatment instead of having to treat it after it happens. You are
Yes.
treating with whole foods and, nutrition and how to feed the body properly rather than here's medicine after you have an issue.
Yes. Yeah. I mean, I would say with my job in particular, it's a little bit of both, just because I am seeing, the sickest patients that are in the hospital.
Gotcha.
So it's definitely a little bit of disease treatment, but we try to do disease prevention as much as we can to prevent them from having to come back.
So what's the most common thing that you see specifically with your patients as far as emotional eating, stress eating, weight gain, all of that?
With my patients in particular, it's a little bit difficult to say just because they're in the hospital, so they're already in a state of stress and everything. My main concern when they're in the hospital in that acute state is making sure that they're eating enough, that they're meeting their nutritional needs so that they're not becoming malnourished. But I definitely hear them wanting to learn what they can do when they go home. So
Right.
I typically try to provide education that is similar to what we talked about today, but tailored a little bit more to their disease state and what they have going on with them specifically.
That's so cool. Well, thank you for being the person that's, there for your patients, who is giving them education and awareness on how to do it, not just when they're sick, but for the rest of their life.
Right. Absolutely. We try to do what we can.
That's so cool. Well, it was so nice chatting with you. I know you have a wealth of knowledge. Is there anything else that you want to share with us that maybe people wouldn't normally think about?
Not
Especially
really.
for the holidays. I don't know.
The three things that we talked about can really be applied to a lot of different settings. I would say for holiday eating, it's hard to ask somebody to make a drastic change that might compromise their holiday meal, but definitely incorporate some of the things that we talked about. So being conscious of what we're cooking with, we can use unsalted or low sodium broth, or if we're using any canned vegetables in like casseroles and things like that, looking for the heart healthy or the low sodium option. A lot of brands will offer that. And then trying to incorporate some vegetables. If you don't already have a lot of vegetables or fruits on your table, especially for Christmas, try to think of some new dishes, and it might become a new family tradition to have that.
Absolutely. Oh my gosh. And don't vegetables and fruit just add more color to the table anyways?
Yes, absolutely. And that's something that we definitely want to be conscious of, is making our plate as colorful as we can. Every different color of the rainbow, as far as fruits and vegetables go, will have different vitamins and minerals in them that are absolutely essential for our health.
Exactly. And just because you have one holiday meal doesn't mean you can't be healthy all the way around all
Sure.
of those times, right? And why wait? Why wait until January 1st? Your health is important now. And I think the most important thing that we have to offer is time. And if we don't have our health, we don't get that time. So the more that we can, I guess, feed and give our bodies the nutrition that it needs, the more your body will reward you with amazing sleep, with feeling great, having more energy. And that's what we all need during the holidays, right?
Absolutely. Absolutely. The nutrition is really like the base, the foundation of living a healthy life.
Oh, someone told me a quote that I really liked. They said, genetics loads the gun, but your actions and your choices and what you choose to eat every day is pulling the trigger.
Sure.
Does that make sense?
Absolutely. I would agree with that. I feel like our genetics are kind of, what we come to the table with, and then what we choose to do with that is our choice.
Yep, absolutely. Oh my gosh, it has been so fun talking with you, Sarah. Thank you for sharing all those tips with us, and just for being there for us when we're all emotionally eating at home and stressed out.
Yes, absolutely. We're happy to help. Thank you so much for having me.
Absolutely, absolutely. So everybody, if you want more information, Sarah, how can we learn more information about you and what you do, or is there a website that we can send them to?
Sure. So Orlando Health has some really awesome outpatient dietitians that are available. So just kind of looking at some of our websites would be a great place to start.
Perfect. Okay, good. Yeah, so check that out, y'all. If you want more information, you can go to ORMC. ORMC's website. I'm sure you can Google lots of different things as well, and healthy meals, like she said. So again, Sara, thank you so much for joining us. It's been a pleasure.
Okay, thank you.
All right, y'all, let's end this video by putting the other video back in, and then we will say goodbye. So thank you so much. Thank you again, Sara, and have a great rest of your day.
Thank you, you too.